ready. All right, I was here. Let's go, everybody. Spam I was here. I was here. Tyler said it. I was here. Here we go. There it is. There it is. There it is. Oh, wait, you can't see it. 2, 1. There it is! Earned all the achievements! There it is! You start off in the Cemetery of Ash, and you are known as the Ashen One, or the Champion of Ash. And it's your duty to go ahead and link the fire. The fire is fading and it's calling for help. The 4 Lords of Cinders have all banished to their own kingdoms, and it's your job to go and get them back to the throne so the fire can be rekindled and the Age of Fire can continue. The very first achievement, which is going to be the easiest one you ever get, and only 93.8% of you guys got it. So I don't know if the rest of you just started the game and just never actually played the game. But it's going to be to light the very first bonfire. With you establishing your very first bonfire, it's time to clear out the remaining hollows and go ahead and first our very first boss, Udex Gundyr. Interesting facts about this boss, besides it being one of my top favorite bosses in the entire series, is that the name Udex Gundyr actually is Latin for judge, and the word gund at the beginning is an old Germanic word for battle. So basically what this says is the judge of Ash, or the judge of battle, because he is the one that has to make sure that you are worthy enough to get to the Firelink Shrine, and the one that's going to be able to defeat the Lords of Cinders and return them to their thrones. This is just one of those amazing little details that FromSoft has put into their games that I've come to love. With Gundyr defeated, we have officially proven ourselves to be worthy enough to get to the Firelink Shrine to meet our Firekeeper, aka Bay, to light the coil sword and to go ahead and retrieve the Lord of Cinders. Dark Souls 2 reference. Before we even get to the high wall, I want to show you guys a neat little trick to get on top of the Firelink Shrine without having to spend $20,000 on the tower key. All you have to do is go to this particular tree, and all you have to do is just simply jump onto the roof. Then you can make your way inside the Firelink Shrine, where you're going to go ahead and find an Estus shard. If you continue forward, you're going to go ahead and take out the illusionary wall, head on down to this chest, and you can open it up to get your first ring, which is the Covetous Silver Serpent Ring. We officially arrive at the high wall of Lothric, and now the training wheels are off. It is now time for us to venture off to go ahead and meet our next valuable opponent, which is Vort of the Boreal Valley. But before we get to him, there are a couple enemies that we have to take out. At the high wall of Lothric, we're going to be go ahead and facing some more Hollow Soldiers. We're even going to be introduced to a brand new enemy, which is the Lothric Knight, and of course, the damn dogs. The damn dogs. After battling through these devilish enemies, we finally make it to our next bonfire. We encountered an NPC that is behind bars, and this is going to be Gera of the Undead Settlement, who's going to be a handy merchant for us once we save him. Hollows slain, Lothric Knights fall, and we pick up our second Estus shard right here on the beautiful anvil next to these 2 giant hollows. Get rid of this damn dog. Collect the cell key, and it's back to our friend. But before we get back to our friend that's in prison, we have to meet one of my top favorite characters in the entire Dark Souls trilogy for this one particular line.
Pretty be careful.
Pretty be careful. We free Gera from his cell, and that in case puts him back to the Firelink Shrine, and we now have another merchant. We meet High Priestess Emma, who, in talking to her, is going to give us 2 important items. The first item is a small Lothric banner, and she's also going to give us the Way of Blue Covenant, which is a covenant that if you equipped and you were invaded by a dark spirit, will call out to help, and members of the Blue Sentinel and the Blade of the Dark Moon will come to your rescue. It is now time to face our second boss, which is Vort of the Boreal Valley. Take that. With Vord of the Beryl Valley dead, it is time to raise the small Lothic banner to head our way over to the undead settlement. A dilapidated township filled with crew buildings and rotting corpses, the undead settlement is rather a lengthy area filled with dangerous enemies. Although the resident peasant hollows are relatively easy to deal with, dispatching the hollow slaves will prove to be a tricky one, and let me tell you something, those guys do some damage and they stick on you. And this area also induces a brand new enemy, the Evangelist. This right here is Yoel of Londor, and this is an important character, especially if you're going to be doing the usurpation of fire ending. You're going to want to go ahead and talk to him, and by doing so, it's going to bring him back to the Firelink Shrine, where this is the building foundation for you to become the Lord of Hollows. We encounter our first evangelist here at the Burning Tree, who's also going to be guarding an Estus shard. Once we go ahead and clear out this area, there are going to be some important key moments that we're going to get from the undead settlement. The first key moment here is going to be the invasion by the mad dark spirit of Holy Knight Hodrick. Now, this is an important moment because when you kill this NPC, you're going to get your very first shackle, which is needed for the Mount Maker's Covenant, because you're going to need to get 30 of these to be able to get some spells. The second key moment here in the Undead Settlement is to find this particular manservant that has a cage on his back. He's not going to actually aggro you at all. He's a very friendly NPC. You're going to hop on the back of his cage, and this will teleport you to under the Cursed Rotted Greatwood boss arena to meet none other than Holy Knight Hodrick. Holy Knight Hodrick is actually the leader of the Mount Maker's Covenant. And again, this is important to know because if you go ahead and do the Cursed Rotted Greatwood boss fight before coming down here, unfortunately, he will die and it will prevent you from joining the Mount Maker's Covenant. So again, you want to make sure that you go ahead and hop on the back of the manservant, talk to him down here, and at the end, he's going to end up giving you a bone so you can bone yourself out of there. But with doing this, we're going to go ahead and earn another achievement. Mount Makers.
Come here, you'll see when you go mad.
The Firelink Shrine, we're going to be talking to Yoel again. But this time he has a particular task for us. You can go ahead and get 5 free level ups from him, but in return you're going to start to turn hollow. So basically the way you would do this is you would get one free level, then you would have to die, come back, get another free level, die, and repeat that 5 times. Once you have successfully done this 5 times, Yoel's destiny has been fulfilled, and unfortunately he dies. But in his place is going to be Uria of Londor, which, fun fact, is Sister Fried's sister. You believe that? She's going to go ahead and take his spot, and she's going to basically tell you that it is your destiny to become the Lord of the Dark, the Lord of the Hollows, aka the Age of Man. Irina of Karam is a unique character in the Dark Souls series where she actually failed to become a firekeeper. She was too weak. But the very interesting about her with her character is that she has 2 different quest lines that you can do. You can turn her dark. You can make her have you teach the dark miracles, the darkness inside of her. Or you can actually learn the light, the light miracles that she has to offer, and you could turn her into a firekeeper of herself. Egbert, who doesn't love our onion brethren, so much so that in this game, his quest line is a tragedy. Spoiler alert, the tragedy. Let's just say he has a promise to upheld to an old friend of his. Together, you and Sigurd are gonna fight side by side to take down the demon that's here at the Undead Settlement, and you guys are gonna let out a big ah! With the demon being vanquished, it was time now to take out the Cursed Rotted Greatwood. But this time, normally I don't summon, but for this particular run, I saw Sumbro, and who doesn't love a good Praise the Sun? Yes, sir, we got him. Anytime I forget to record a stream, I'm just gonna always blame my moderators for not reminding me. So if you see any of these 3 lovely people in the chat, just go ahead and tell them to remind me to record stuff so it doesn't look like I took the video on a Nokia. We've entered the Road of Sacrifice, where we find these weird bat-looking things that all they do is scream, and when they scream, they grow wings, and we're going to meet an important NPC for the Usurpation of Fire ending. This is Henri of Astora, and she is the key component to doing this particular ending. Now, you may be asking yourself, why am I so focused on this ending? Well, one, because this was the ending I was doing during this run, and second, the other 2 endings are your basic Dark Souls endings, aka either Link to Fire or Allow of the Age of Dark. But this particular ending, there are several steps that you need to take, and she is the most vital part of this quest. The Crucifixion Woods, home of the Watchdogs of Farron Covenant. So when you're traversing this area, you better be careful, because you never know when they're going to summon the Watchdogs. They don't like trespassers, so be careful. Also, in this particular area, we're also going to grab the Estus Shard that is located behind the ruins. And there's a friendly NPC that we need to go and meet, as his name is Orbeck of Wilhelm, the Crystal Sage, the twin of the Crystal Sage in the Grand Archives. I know, shocking. Both of these sorcerers were trained by none other than the Grand Sage Logan, or as we know him as Big Hat Logan. Not only are they trained by him, they also took on the parts from Seath the Scaleless. Another throwback to the Dark Souls 1 series, as these sorceries and these crystal sorceries were all learned from them. These 2 Crystal Sages decided to take their talents to Lothric Castle, with one of them, the one that we see here, came to the Watchdog of Farron Legion because they wanted to teach the Hollows here how to wield sorcery. Yes, sir. Oh yeah, good music, just good bars all around the Abyss Watchers. But yeah, I'm guessing that's probably gonna be where, at least I'm hoping, probably. Yes, the Cathedral of the Deep. The coffin for Aldrich, the devourer of gods. And also where the Way of White used to worship. Lots of connections back to Dark Souls 1 from here. And not only that, another fun fact is, you guys remember Ulasil from the Artorias of the Abyss DLC? Well, it is heavily implied that the Cathedral of the Deep is built on top of Ulasil. There's an Estus Shard located right by the 4 Hollows who are praying. Then you're going to go ahead and go through the big double doors inside the Cleansing Chapel, light the bonfire, and technically if you wanted to, you could talk to Gale to enter into the DLC, but I wouldn't recommend that. Am I the only person that thinks that the Corpse Grubs remind anyone else of the Ouroboros boss from Resident Evil 5? I mean, take a look on the screen right here. I mean, they're not the same color, but like, they're pretty similar. Like, I can't be the only one that noticed that. It's of course that time to meet good old Patches, but this time with the twist. So this is obviously Patches hiding inside Sigward's armor, and he's gonna have you go across the bridge, but as you go across the bridge, he's gonna lower it. But if you take out the giants, this is what happens.
Shame on you, you
Frickin' Patches. Frickin' Patches.
Where's the old giant? What? Where's the bloody giant?
Huh.
How dare you? Have you no shame?
So if you kill the giants prior to meeting Patches, you basically ruin his entire plan, and he can't believe it. Bro is flabbergasted. It's now time to fight the Deacons of the Deep, possibly one of the easiest bosses in the game, so there's no way that I'm going to struggle with this boss fight. Oh my gosh, man, I can't do nothing! Oh my goodness, man! It's just Firebomb Central! Oh my gosh, finally! Holy ass! The Poison Swamp of Dark Souls 3. Miyazaki's favorite thing to put into the game. Apparently besides feet too. Inside the Farron's Keep here, we're going to be collecting the Crystal Bowl, and we need that because one of the achievements in this game is to get all the different types of infusions, and just like in Dark Souls 1, you're going to need different types of coals.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to
Continuing our journey, we're going to quickly go ahead and grab the undead bone shard from these slugs. Then we're going to head up this extremely long ladder to the watchdog himself to go ahead and get our next trophy. More connections to Dark Souls 1, as if you head up right from where the watchdog of Farron Covenant is, you're going to run into none other than a stray demon. Now, stray demons have been a big part of the Dark Souls 1, but there's only one in Dark Souls 3, and he's no longer have fire in him. So he's been here for a while and he's probably lost. Now, when you do kill him, you do get the soul of a stray demon, and there's a actual connection to Havel. After getting the main doors open for the Abyss Watchers, I wanted to hurry up and collect the bonfire here. Now, there are two main important things that we need to get from this bonfire. First of all, if you ever wanted to farm some pale tongues, you can get the Dark Wraith Knights here, and they have a chance of dropping them. Not only that, there's a shortcut here that you can unlock. And I've always wondered why this particular Black Knight is in this area. I don't know if he's because he was put here to guard the coal. I don't know if there's any lore implications for why he's here, or FromSoft just decided that, we're just going to plop him right here. But once you defeat this Black Knight, you can go ahead and get the Farron's Coal in the back, which again will allow you to infuse different types of weapons, bringing you closer to the infusion trophy. We meet our soon-to-be wife back at the Firelink Shrine, and she's going to go ahead and let us know that she had made her way to the Cathedral of the Deep because she is in search of Aldrich, the Devourer of Gods. But unfortunately, he's not there. He has made his way to Anorlando through the Irithel of the Boreal Valley. We enter our way into Rosaria's bedchamber, where she's going to offer us two important things. One, the ability to rebirth, which you can use the Pale Tongues to redistribute your stats. And of course, it's going to get us the trophy because we're going to get a covenant. Some interesting things about Rosaria is that there are some type of evidence to suggest that her and Guinevere are somewhat connected. Basically because of the fact that when Rosaria is assassinated, you can get her soul, and you can use that soul to get a miracle that is usually performed by Guinevere. And also on top of that, the soul of the dancer from the Boreal Valley also gives you another miracle of that of Guinevere. So there are some possible implications that the dancer and Rosaria are daughters of Guinevere. What possible logical explanation can we come up with? See, how the hell did Sigurd manage to get himself stuck in a well? It's time now to go on and face the Abyss Watchers. Now, very interesting stuff about the Abyss Watchers. Besides being some, if not, I would probably say top 5 best boss in the game, the Abyss Watchers are the heads of the undead legion. They are enemies of the abyss, and any kingdom that even has the slight chance of being at the abyss, they're there. And little fact, not confirmed though, but the two dark wraiths that are outside of the boss fight, it's kind of like they're going there to defeat the Abyss Watchers because they are part of the Abyss and the Abyss Watchers need to destroy them. So that would be a cool, interesting like little thing if it was able to actually happen. And of course, everybody's favorite boss from Dark Souls 1, the Abyss Watchers are based off Artorias, the Abyss Walker. And basically their entire job is to rid of the abyss, so much so that actually on their capes you can see the abyss consuming them. And in the first phase of the fight, there are 3 abyss walkers there's 3 of them, but one of them has red eyes, meaning they were consumed by the abyss, which is why they start attacking each other. Pretty interesting facts. Yes! Yeah! Sunlight Metal! Let's go! The Catacombs of Carthage. A once thriving desert kingdom. And it used to be called Carthage of the Sands, where pyromancers developed their knowledge in isolation from other forms, thus evolving differently. Their warriors developed unique techniques, utilizing sharpened curved swords, and were said to move as weightless as a grain of sand. At some point, the giant humanoid Womnir rose to power in Carthage, and man, did he rule with an iron fist. He was consumed by power. Womnir wished to outlive every other being in the world and sentenced his entire empire to death. He slaughtered civilians and soldiers alike. Nobody was safe from the wrath of Womnir. After falling into the abyss, Womnir discovered a form of pyromancy that used the darkness of humanity. These pyromancies seek a will of their own as a result of infringing on humanity. The pyromancers had become the guardians of the catacombs and would discover Womnir's dark flame, born from the abyss and shadowless, and employed it for the use of their own. This is why Womnir has those bracelets on him during his boss fight. When you break those bracelets, guess what? Womnir succumbs to the abyss. Upon exploring the catacombs a little bit, we've come across a familiar face, and it's none other than Andrea Vestora. She reveals to us that her and Horace were inside the catacombs, and because she fell into a trap, they became separated, and now she's unable to find him, asking us if we ourselves have been able to find Horace. Unfortunately, up to this point of our journey, we haven't found him, and she lets us know that if we do find him, to let him know where she's at, and she's going to be using the crystals to be able to find her. As you progress deeper inside the catacombs, you're going to run into a dark spirit named Night Slayer Soric. And let me tell you something, this character here has multiple references to Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2. The first thing I noticed on him is that he is wearing the armor similar to the Black Iron Tarkus from Dark Souls 1, and the reference from Dark Souls 2 is that he is holding the Fume Ultra Greatsword, which means that at some point he had slain the Fume Knight from Dark Souls 2. Just over the collapsible bridge, you can meet Henry again, who's still looking for Horace. And she explains to us that she's been looking high and low for him, and she's wondering why he would leave her in this decrepit place. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out, why is he so worried about him when we're about to get married soon? You're supposed to be worrying about me, not about him. I don't know why she's all worried about him, man. I'm putting my life out here to get all these souls to cinders and things like that. Unfortunately, at this point, you still have not found where Horace is at. So all you can do is say nothing and continue on the quest. Smoldering Lake. Oh man, another city that turned into ruins. Smoldering Lake is a shallow lake that lies deep underneath the catacombs. It's an enormous trees that smolder with embers and grown up to the ceiling, and their roots reach far into the chambers below the lake. It has been rumored and basically confirmed that this area is Lost Islet from Dark Souls 1. After many years, the lava has subsided significantly, the evidence of this being the presence of demon courses that litter the demon ruins, which is not too far away, which in Dark Souls 1 was the area where you would have to go through to reach Lost Izalith. The daughters of the Witch of Izalith once resided here, and the demons were born from the Flame of Chaos. Now, unlike the first flame, which is tied to the souls of the undead, the faded Flame of Chaos was tied to the demons. And as you're taking your journey throughout the demon ruins, you can see the bodies of the Capra demons, the Taurus demons, the Asylum demons, and you can even spot a Centipede demon. Unfortunately, we will eventually find Horus down here in the Smoldering Lake, but it is too late for him. He is gone hollow and he's gone mad. Without even missing a step, he immediately attacks us, and I have no choice but to put him down. You get put down, my friend. We're going hollow. Here is a little trick for you guys. In case you didn't know this, in the Smoldering Lake, this worm right here holds an undead bone shard. And instead of sitting here and trying to attack him while the Ballista is shooting 4 arrows into your ass cheeks, all you have to do is get to this little hill right outside of the old Demon King boss fight and just stand behind here and let the Ballista do its thing, and it will kill him. Okay, so after looking through my footage, I realized I've actually never went back to defeat the old Demon King. Now, I already had the trophy from a previous time I played, but obviously as an FYI, you're going to need to defeat the old Demon King in order to get the 100%. And I don't know how nobody caught that, myself, nobody in chat caught that, nobody said, hey, listen, you never went back to go fight him. But yeah, so here's some gameplay as some filler, way past the level. But yeah, so that's a little interesting fact that I never went back and beat him. So here you go. Okay, so this next part of the quest line is crucial because here is what the possibilities of the outcomes that can happen. If you find Horus and you tell her where he is, but you do not kill him, she will go to him and then he kills her, ending the quest line. So the two main options that you can do is either A, kill Horus, and then you can tell her about it because then she leaves a grave for him and she moves on. Or you just don't ever tell her. So you either need to kill him, then you can tell her where he was, or you can say nothing. Or if you decide to keep him alive, you don't tell her where he's at. So that way she can continue the quest line and that the ending doesn't get ruined. It's now time to face High Lord Wump, the person and the reason for the destruction of Carthage, for why it has become an area of death, all because of his lust for power and his desire to outlive everybody. And if this sounds like a scenario that I've heard before, I'm gonna allow this person to state it better than I can.
No!
You're with him! You brought him here to kill me!
No!
Let her go, Anakin!
Anakin.
Let her go! You turned her against me!
You have done that yourself.
You will not take her from me!
Your anger and your lust for power have already done that.
Yeah, take that to the face. One for the face. Bye-bye, Walmir. Bye-bye, Walmir. Irithyll of the Barrow Valley is probably one of the most breathtaking places throughout the entire Dark Souls 3 game. And not only that, it will soon hit you somewhere. For those of you that played Dark Souls 1, right in the feels. This ancient city used to belong to An Orlando, the beautiful city bathed in sunlight. But as time has passed, it has soon fallen into darkness. It was once taken over by Gwendolyn once Gwen was slain, but unfortunately, there's this person named Pontiff Sullivan who came to rule with an iron fist. And unfortunately, Gwendolyn was devoured by Aldridge, and the city has fell into ruins. I want to talk about these two particular ghosts that you see when going through Irithyll, the Burrow Valley. But before I do it really quick, I promise you guys, I don't only just wear black shirts. I've noticed in a lot of these footage that I'm wearing black shirts, and I'm wearing one right now. I promise I have different colors. It just happens to happen like that, okay? Okay. So anyway, these two ghosts, this is Vort and this is Dancer of the Burrow Valley, the two bosses that you're going to face later on in the game. Well, you face Vort at the beginning of the game, and then you're going to face Dancer later on in the game. And what's really interesting about this is that these two used to be human until they were corrupted by Pontiff. And the reason why they were corrupted was because of Pontiff's ring. You can get Pontiff's left eye and his right eye when you kill both of these bosses. So instead of going hollow or purely insane, they became a beast. Another interesting theory about this is that when you are fighting the beast on the bridge, what happens to him when you hit him with a riposte or a critical hit is that he kind of hunches over and he starts praying. Almost kind of like that he wants you to basically take him out. He doesn't want to basically live anymore. And that kind of right there shows you that they once used to be human. And he doesn't get up from this. The beast does not get up from this once he does into this animation. So it really goes to show you that Pontiff is a lot stronger than what is foretold in the story. And there's also another rumor that Pontiff has somehow managed a way to dive deep, or I would say transcend into the deep and take control of the dark to really bring doom into the world. The damn dogs. I'm so annoyed! Sigurd is here enjoying the nice fire, reminiscing about the old times. We talk to him. He reveals to us that he has a promise that he is afraid to upheld, and he doesn't know if he has the strength. Well, don't worry, Sigurd. By the power of the sun, we'll get you that promise. Just in the room next door, you can spot a silver knight looking at the portrait of Guinevere. Now, there are three different implications to why this silver knight is here staring at the portrait. For the game wise, it's just to set you up to get ambushed by a archer who's up top ready to pelt you with a great arrow. I think lore wise, what I want to say is that he is reminiscing about the past times of Dark Souls 1, where the kingdom was thriving. Because remember, Guinevere fled long time ago, and I feel like this silver knight does not have a purpose, or he's trying to reminisce about a time where he did have a purpose, where he was guarding the princess. Or it could just be amazing Chestad. At this point, can I say that she's like our fiance? I mean, we never actually asked her to marry us, but we already know what's gonna happen. So is that the proper way to say it? So we meet her here in the Church of Yorska, and she basically tells us that she never found Horus because I elected to not tell her exactly what happened, and that she basically needs to continue on her journey of finding all the lords, and that she is fond of us doing it on her own and needs to learn some things from us. This pilgrim right here is also another crucial person to the ending that we are trying to accomplish here. She is in charge of assassinating Anri, which will allow you to get married. So you have to make sure you do not kill the assassin. If you kill her, the whole plot is ruined and you don't get married. And now it's time to take the fight to the person that started all of this destruction, Pontiff Sullivan. Of course, with my two sunbros at my side. Sullivan was a humanoid creature born and raised in the painted world of Arendelle. Despite his isolation from the outside world, he demonstrated incredible intelligence and a talent for sorcery. The young sorcerer ended up in the city of Irithel of the Boreal Valley, inhabited by the descendants of the old gods, and was welcome among them despite not having divine blood. He earned the favor of the chief deity Dark Sun Gwendolyn. But one day, when Sullivan was still young, he unearthed the Profane Capital, where he also discovered, in the ruins of the city, the Profane Flame, where the first flame would eventually fade while his Profane Flame never went out. With this new knowledge, Sullivan began his rise to power within Irithel, corrupting the hearts of the Holy Knights. Gwendolyn was stricken by illness and was forced into retiring from the government of the city, leaving command to the Blades of the Dark Moon to his youngest sister, Yorska. Sullivan took advantage of the situation and proclaimed himself pontiff, which basically just means pope. Sullivan preemptively imprisoned the old gods because he had a fear that the Silver Knights, who were still faithful to Gwendolyn and the Blades of the Dark Moon Knights, would fight back. So he went and imprisoned Gwendolyn and Yorska to prevent a stalemate, because neither the Silver Knights or the Blades of the Dark Moons can act, fearing to see their leaders executed. Yes, sir! Woo! Sunlight Metal. The area right outside Pontiff's boss fight is the epic center for fight clubs and PvP invasions. This is the hotspot. This is where you're going to get all of your PvP, whether you are an Aldrich Faithful, a Red Spirit, heck, even a Blue, or if you want to get invaded yourself. All of it happens right outside Pontiff Sullivan's boss fight. Earlier we talked about how the Sullivan Beast goes into a prayer after a repose. Well, here's an example of that. Damn! Look at him. Look at him! He's praying for mercy! No mercy. Once you kill both Sullivan beasts down here, a bonfire will appear, so you can go ahead and light the bonfire. Then go into the corner where Archdeacon McDonald body is, and you can ask to join the Covenant of the Aldrich Faithful. For those of you that play Dark Souls 1, this area should look familiar to you. Under An Orlando, there's a statue of Gwen. And, of course, you can go up to it and hit it, revealing an illusionary wall. And when you walk down the stairs, you are going into the area where you are bound to get married. But it looks quite familiar to another boss that we faced in Dark Souls 1. It is now time for the big moment, and it's time to officially get married. This is not proper wedding attire. Let's see. I don't have a lot of stuff. I think we're gonna go with this. I think we look pretty good. You know what? Let's actually look like we're human though. Let's look like we're human. There you go.
Welcome, our gracious lord. Your spouse awaits you. Please, may.
Damn. Did they take her head off, or they just took her helmet off? No, you could kind of still see the neck right there. They just took her helmet off. Okay.
final ending. Congratulations, the Soul of Cinder, and interact with the flame to receive the final ending. Congratulations, you just completed.
Nice, the dark. Hello, my friend. Oh. With the ceremony completed, it's time to take a quick detour before we head into Anor Londo to the Church of Yorshka up the top of the tower, where we find Yorshka herself, where she's gonna tell us and give us the covenant of the Blade of the Dark Moon.
Wear this oath.
The only knight of our company. Blade of the Dark Moon.
Oh, if I can...
Anor Londo, the legendary city of the gods that has since been taken over by Aldrich, the Devourer of Gods. Once a radiant and warm with sunlight, it is now entirely dark and cold due to the absence of Dark Sun Gwendolyn, who unfortunately was devoured by Aldrich. There is a new tower that stands where the Painted World once was, and deacons have overrun the cathedral. The Aldrich Faithful Covenant now increasingly guards the cathedral from trespassers to not disturb Aldrich.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression.
Hello? Yo, get the chest! Get the chest! Get the chest! What? Hello? Get the chest! Look! Look! Hey! 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 Oh my... Hey! Oh my god, here. I kill him for you. Hey, look! Get the chest! It's time now to head to the Anor Londo Cathedral, where you once fought Ornstein and Smo. It's now time to fight Aldrich, the Devourer of Gods. Got him. Seems familiar. No chest ahead, therefore right arm required. Okay. Sun Princess Ring. I am not a big fan of the Irithel dungeon because they got these freaking donkey-ass enemies here. They're called the Jailers, and of course, they're inhabitants of the profane capital, and none other than Pontiff Sullivan himself again brought them here to the prison to oversee it. These freaking dog water enemies, they carry these lanterns and they wield these branding iron, but that's not even the problem, okay? That's not even the problem with them. The biggest problem is the stupid ass gas that they emit, that it doesn't do any damage to you. It just takes your health from the size of the screen down to the size of a freaking grain of rice, okay? Just by looking at their direction. So this area is just super annoying, especially if you just want to run through it and just kind of get going what you want to do. Freaking Jailers, I hope they step on Legos. The profane capital was ruled over by none other than Yorm the Giant, a descendant of an ancient conqueror, who was asked by the people to lead them. A sorcery school was established there, claiming to be the heir to the legacy of none other than Big Hat Logan. The court sorcerers from the profane capital also served as oracles, as golden stitching of their ropes suggests. As a result of a curse shared between a group of women, the everlasting profane flame was triggered. Yorm decided it was time to link the fire, hoping to stop the profane flame. Instead, the city was burned down by fire, said to be coming from the sky, while only consuming the humans that live there. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, Pontiff Sullivan discovered the profane flame and the capital, and at that moment a burning ambition took root within him, who later on would infuse his holy great sword with the profane flame, and at the same time corrupting the hearts of the holy knights that guarded Irithyll. There is a sunken church not too far off the main path in the profane capital, and of course we're gonna find none other than Sigvard of Katarina. So remember when I told you guys this earlier in the video? Sigvard! Who doesn't love our onion brethren? So much so that in this game, his quest line is a tragedy. Spoiler alert, a tragedy. Let's just say he has a promise that upheld to an old friend of his. Well, now it's time to fulfill that promise.
Old friend. I, Sigvard of the Knights of Katarina, have come to uphold my promise. The sun shine upon this Lord of Cinder.
All right, Sigvard. Yeah! Don't die on me, Sigvard. Get him, Sigvard. Nice job, Sigvard! This is it, Sigvard! Lord of Cinder. Don't worry, Sigvard.
It seems I am in your debt once again. My thanks. I could have not kept my promise without you. Now, for a final toast. To your valor, and my old friend Yorm.
Long may the sun shine! Sigvard! Yes!
Well, I'm going to have myself a little nap. The only thing to do, really. You are a true friend.
Once you defeat 3 Lords of Cinder, you are summoned back to the High Wall of Lothric to High Priest Emma, where she's going to die. And she's going to tell you to make Lothric become a lord, and we're going to meet the Dancer of the Boreal Valley. Oh. Ow. Oh, gosh. Yeah! Yes, sir. We are now in the home stretch part of our main quest here on Dark Souls 3, but there are still 2 more areas that we need to quickly explore before we handle the last Lord of Cinder. The Consumed King's Garden is an area that is filled with toxicness. Kind of like a poison swamp, but it's a toxic swamp. Filled with pus of man and, of course, Consumed King's Knights. This area is not that big, but the person that inhabits the area, the boss, is really the big story. Osiris is the former king of Lothric and father to Lorien and Lothric, the younger and older princes. The king married Guinevere, who was the queen of Lothric, with whom he conceived the divine prince of the kingdom. Lothric, the younger prince, was destined to become a Lord of Cinder. He was tasked with sacrificing himself as fuel for the first slain to uphold the Age of Fire. The prince, born of sickly, frail child, was nevertheless viewed as the last hope of the line. Osiris created immense propaganda around Lothric, not only giving him the name of the kingdom, but also building statues that depicted him with his sacred sword ready to complete his task, as well as preparing his throne at the Firelink Shrine in advance. In a betrayal of the hopes placed in him, Lothric remained a sick and shriveled child from birth into adulthood, never even growing out of his baby clothes, which reminded him that he was blessed to at least be alive. In his youth, Aldea, the first of the Grand Archive scholars, became his mentor in secret, a likely influence on the young and impressionable prince with whom he has impaired his skepticism on the Age of Fire. Frustrated by continuous failures to find a worthy champion, Osiris was driven to insanity by his work with Lothric's blood, and become fascinated with dragons and sought out other means of achieving his goal. Eventually, Osiris turned to the cursed knowledge of the Grand Archives, where he founded the twisted worship of Seath. That's right, the one and only Seath the Scaleless from Dark Souls 1, developing a fascination for the Pale Dragon. His mad research in the secrets of the Moonlight. The king, in his deep delusions, believed he had become a dragon himself in order to produce an heir strong enough to link the flame. Eventually, he did manage to transform himself into a scaleless dragon, albeit a imperfect and distorted one, even obtaining the sorcery of Seath's crystal breath. It is possible to theorize that the transition of Osiris from this mighty king to this pale dragon was carried out in collaboration than with none other than Pontiff Sullivan.
Oh my gosh!
Jeez, man. Jeez. After the Consumed King's fight, you can go ahead and get an important gesture, which is the Path of the Dragon gesture, which we are going to use to enter into a secret area of the game. But as you continue forward, there's an illusionary wall here, and this is going to get you to the Unintended Graves and get you another achievement. Bunched up at the end with the blessing. Oh yeah. The Unintended Graves looks mighty familiar to some other place. Where could this place be? Why does it look so familiar? Well, because it is. It is the exact same area as where you first started the game in the Cemetery of Ash, and it even has its own Firelink Shrine. However, the difference between yours and this one is that this one is shrouded in darkness. Now, why is that? Well, this location was sealed away from the eyes of everyone. It's basically a hidden secret deep within inside Lothric's castle that they didn't want to get out. And, well, as one of my favorite bosses in this game, I had to tell the very sad story. This is a time where the fire almost faded completely and the light became almost none. The time has stagnated to the point where past, present, and future coexist side by side. You're going to meet a boss here. Similar. Actually, no. The same person that you met at the beginning of the game. The very first boss. It's going to be Gundyr. Except this time, it's not Udex Gundyr. It's Champion Gundyr. And that was because Gundyr came too late and it was greeted by a shrine without fire and a bell that would not toll. He was bested by an unknown warrior and became the sheath of a coiled sword in hopes that someday the first flame would be linked once more. So there are also some rumors that Gundyr was set up by the royal family to purposely fail at this, but this just goes to show us what would happen if somebody doesn't link the fire. The world goes into a complete darkness, everybody's gone, there's nobody in the Firelink Shrine, and at the end of the day, they still did my boy Gundyr dirty. If you're a fan of Champion Gundyr, just like I am, huge fan of him, one of my most favorite bosses throughout the entire series, and you guys want to see an alternate reality of him rising and becoming a Lord of Cinder and linking the fire, I highly recommend you check out my Dark Souls 3 short story, The Rise of Gundyr. Link in the description below. My friend Gundyr, your time has come to an end, my friend. Time. Bye-bye, my friend. It was nice knowing you. Imagine him being the tutorial boss and not his lesser version. Inside the Flameless Shrine, there's going to be a very, very important item, which is going to be the eyes of the Firekeeper. The Firekeeper in Dark Souls 3 is blind, and although you as the player think it might be a really good gift to give the Firekeeper the eyes, in reality, it's not. The Firekeeper is very reluctant on getting the eyes from her, and not only that, her mood and the entire theme song of the Firelink Shrine begins to change. Because to her, she's thinking that you were going to end the fire, that you will not rekindle it. And not only that, there's also another aspect to the fact that she might be more open-minded, seeing that the world is coming to a complete chaos, and that she herself might develop this sensation that the fire should end, where she is been manipulated to think that the fire must continue. Just before you do the Dragon Slayer armor boss fight, there is the second best covenant in the game, and it's none other than the Praise the Sun, the Sunlight Covenant. Praise the Sun! Conqueror's the only ones I left that need 30? Okay. I'm gonna offer all 33. Sacred Oath and Great Lightning Spear. Okay, and that... We're going to get into more about this covenant later on, because we participated in some jolly co-op to get the 30 sun medals required to gain 2 miracles. The Dragon Slayer armor is what remains of an ancient warrior of Lothric. During the founding of the kingdom, the soldiers of Lothric had found themselves facing large numbers of wyverns, and they had to rise to the challenge. So, they assembled the Dragon Slayer Armor Knights, the heavily massive iron capable of withstanding dragon fire, similarly designed to an ancient armor of the one and only Dragon Slayer Ornstein, while their shields capable of absorbing the lightning breath of wyverns. The old Knights of Lothric also turned to the firstborn of Lord Gwyn, said to be the Nameless King, and they ventured as the God of War and the Sun, who in turn gave them the tools to face these dragons. The army of Lothric successfully hunted down the wyverns of their region, moreover by observing how the gods commanded such creatures. With the wyverns dead or domesticated, the dragon slayers were rendered obsolete, as there was really no longer need for them. But some of them still survived, and some of them still continue to guard the castle to this day. Unfortunately, in the last days of Lothric, as the first flame almost faded, flocks of pilgrim butterflies, those big flying things that are actually present in the Dragon Slayer armor boss fight, unfortunately controlled them with dark magic and used them to eliminate anyone who's attempting to get to the top of the castle. In the Ring City DLC, you can also spot Dragon Slayer armor, and some people used to think maybe it was a different one, but their theories and what the evidence points to is the fact that this is the same Dragon Slayer armor that you slain back in the main game. Now remember, in the Ring City DLC, time has passed and the world is basically ending. And according directly from the in-game description, the ancient Dragon Slayer armor defeated by the champion of Ash, which is you, in Lothric, was left ages to rust until it slipped into the abysmal swamp, where it is possessed once again by the memory of the Hun. So there goes FromSoft again, just adding some cool lore and seeing previous enemies that you have defeated just basically left to the abyss. Oh my goodness. We make our way inside the Grand Archives, where we're going to meet the second twin of the Crystal Sage, and we're going to learn some good old secrets that pay tribute back to Dark Souls 1. There's a particular theory going around in the archives that the hands that curse you are related to Seath the Scaleless, and also has something to do with the Curse-Rotted Greatwood. The second phase of the Curse-Rotted Greatwood boss fight, you can see the same exact hand come out of the Greatwood, and the theory is that Seath here again, because it corresponds to the Duke Archives, put curse inside the archives, which is why the scholars that are here have to dunk their head into the wax to prevent themselves from being cursed by the knowledge. To be honest, this skank squad can just ligma. To get the ultimate bonfire achievement, you need to go ahead and locate the 10 undead bone shards located throughout the game. The locations of these are the Undead Settlement, Barren Keep, the Cathedral of the Deep, the Catacombs of Karthus. There's 2 locations in Smoldering Lake, Irithyll of the Boreal Valley, the Profane Capital, Lothric Castle, and the Grand Archives. Once you locate all 10 of these and upgrade your bonfire to level 11, you earn the achievement. Back at Archdragon Peak, Archdragon Peak is no longer inhabited by the ancient dragons. Dark Eater Midir, who is a descendant of the ancient dragons, no longer resides here himself, as he's made his way to the Ring City. Those who desire to worship dragons often end up here, as evidenced by the many corpses of those who have died trying to become the path of the dragon. Archdragon Peak can only be entered after learning the Path of the Dragon gesture after defeating Osiris the Consumed King. The faction of knights can be summoned in Archdragon Peak, named the Drake Blood Knights. Well, let me tell you something, that was the coolest armor set in Dark Souls 2. I gotta give it to them. Not only that, the Nameless King, who is highly evidence-based to be Gwen's firstborn, who allied himself with the ancient dragons, resides here in Archdragon Peak with his trusty steed, the Storm Drake. And not only that, there is one wyvern here in Archdragon Peak, which you're going to go ahead and face first before you go and face the Nameless King. Another little lore and interesting piece is that you can also find Dragon Slayer Ornstein's weapon and armor lying after you defeat the Nameless King. Not on a body, but just kind of just discarded. No one really knows exactly what happens to Ornstein. It was never flat out said. There are different theories to exactly what happened to Ornstein, but all we know for a fact is that he left his guard in Anor Londo to go searching for the Nameless King. Oh, he's not. Oh my.
Know your fucking place, trash.
Havel the Rock, we meet again. Or is it really Havel? This is one another those are debates that the lore doesn't explicitly explain outright. People don't know who the real Havel is. People don't know if the one in Dark Souls 1, the Dark Souls 2, or Dark Souls 3 is the real Havel. Some people even believe that there is no real Havel. But we do know that there are Havel Knights. We do know that there was a person named Havel, or Gwen lied about a person being named Havel, who led with these particular knights. And they all wear the same armor. They all have Havel's ring. And of course, they have the dragon tooth as a weapon. This is another one of those interesting things in lore that I love seeing people discuss, because there is technically no correct answer unless the developers just come out and flat out say, hey, this Havel in this game is the real one, or none of these are the real Havel because the real Havel died before the game started. But here he is, as always, being a piece of ass. The Nameless King, one of Dark Souls' biggest mysteries, finally revealed in Dark Souls 3. What a mystery it must have been playing Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2 before Dark Souls 3 came out. Nobody knew exactly who this firstborn that was exiled for siding with the dragons. Well, until Dark Souls 3 came out. The Nameless King is the firstborn of Gwen, and he's one of the deities who reside in Anor Londo during the Age of Fire. He was worshipped by humans as the God of War. Unfortunately, the Nameless King did an unforgivable act by residing himself with the ancient dragon. This sin was so unbearable to the fact that they expunged him from the history books, destroyed anything resembling him, and exiled him. And I think one thing to note is that he still had respect for his father Gwen, because before leaving Anor Londo, he left his Sunlight Blade Miracle and ring on Gwen's empty tomb in his mausoleum as a final farewell, still paying respects for his father. Man, what a guy. It wouldn't be until Dark Souls 3 before Nameless King found his way to Archdragon Peak, where he befriended a Storm Drake, and they fought countless battles side by side. Another interesting theory, now those things I just mentioned, those are proven. It is 100% confirmed, those are factual. But this one right here is a theory that I never heard before, but it now kind of makes sense after reading about it. So it is possibly theorized that Gwen's firstborn, his name is Gwensen. Gwensen. Now here's why. So the reason for this is because there's two reasons. Number one, all of Gwen's children that we know and are recognized as legitimate kids all have Gwen as the first part. We have Guinevere and Gwendolyn. So everybody seems to have Gwen and then a name attached to it. Now, the reason why they think it's Sen from Sen's Fortress is because the theory is that Sen's Fortress, created as a proving ground to access Anor Londo and obtain the Lord's Vessel, which are steps required to fulfill the prophecy, was also created by the firstborn, thereby making its name Sen's Fortress, aka Gwensen. So the fact that the Nameless King is theorized to create Sen's Fortress, that's where the possibility of his name being Gwensen. Very, very interesting theories going on here. And honestly, Nameless King's story is beyond amazing. It's kind of tragic in a way, but I kind of see it from both sides. And overall, his boss fight is just amazing. It is now time to face the Twin Princes alongside our very own Sunbro. As mentioned earlier, the Twin Princes are both sons of Osiris and Guinevere, and some interesting lore about them is that the old Elder Prince slain the Demon Prince, which is why his sword, his great sword actually, is eternally scorched with the flame of chaos, and why his armor, it has stains of black on it. Lothric, the younger prince, was destined to become a Lord of Cinder. He would sacrifice himself as fuel for the first flame to uphold the Age of Fire. However, due to his mentor, who we know is Aldia, he decided that he wasn't going to do that. It wasn't for him, and he decided to denounce the legacy of the Lords. So, with the fire crying for help, the bells were rung so that the old Lords of Cinders can come back and to rekindle the fire. But this time, they decided that they had enough. They actually went back to their old lands, and this time, an unkindled would have to hunt them down and bring them back to the Firelink Shrine. Sunlight medal for my bro. Good job, man. Joy. With all 5 Lords of Cinders now returned back to their thrones, it is time to head to the Kiln of the First Flame. But before we head there is another achievement I want to talk about, which is maxing out the Estus Flask. Once you go ahead and collect all of the shards, you can go ahead and reinforce your Estus class up to a maximum of 15. The Estus shards locations are the High Wall of Lothric, the Undead Settlement, the Road of Sacrifice, Farron's Keep, the Cathedral of the Deep, there's Smoldering Lake, Irithel Dungeon, and Orlando, the High Wall of Lothric / the Consumed King's Garden, Lothric Castle, and Firelink Shrine. The Soul of Cinder is the manifestation of every single person who has ever linked the fire. That includes Yorm, the Abyss Watchers, Aldrich, it would have been Lothric, and it also includes your Dark Souls 1 character if you decided to link the fire. But I think the most surprising and the most impactful person that you will notice, especially in the second phase, is none other than Gwen himself. Alright. Alright, Gwen.
Denied.
Soul of the Lord. It is now at this point where you have 3 different ending options that you can go for and 3 different achievements that you can obtain. The first one is to link the fire ending, which is to do the basic linking the fire, calling it a day. The second one is to end the Age of Fire, which is where the eyes of the Firekeeper comes into handy. You can summon the Firekeeper and you can end the Age of Fire. The third ending, which is the one that I decided to do on my first playthrough, is the Usurpation of Fire ending, and that makes you become the Lord of the Hollows. There's now 2 covenants I want to talk about and 1 particular achievement I want to talk about now that we have officially finished the main quest. I want to talk about particularly the Sunlight Covenant, the Blade of the Dark Moon Covenant, and the Rings Trophy. I want to talk about the multiplayer aspect of Dark Souls 3 now, particularly the Sunlight Covenant and the Blade of the Dark Moon Covenant. Starting off with the Sunlight Covenant, I wanted to make it known that in this one, I was going to do the Covenant grind in the correct way. I wanted to do it the online way. I thought it was really, really boring to sit here and farm the items that I needed. It's boring, it's tedious, and I think it's also boring for stream too. Nobody wants to go and watch somebody stream for 4 hours just farming the same 2 enemies. So for the Sunlight Covenant, there has been a change of heart and a change of mind for me. I was the type of person that believed that if you summoned somebody to help you with a boss, you truly did not beat the game, or you truly did not beat the boss. Yes, I was that player. Well, when it came to Dark Souls 3, I was wrong. I had a change of heart and a change of mind. I believe now that it actually made it even more fun. I had a lot of fun helping people and even summoning people for my boss fights, even though I knew I didn't need them. First of all, I wanted to help out anybody that's doing the Covenant grind, so giving them a medal is good for me too. But especially doing it here in the Curse Rotted Greatwood boss fight, which is particularly a early area, I've had some actual brand new players, people that I can tell have not played the game before. Maybe this is their first Souls games, and showing them how to defeat the boss is amazing. It's honestly amazing. My Sunlight journey between the Curse Rotted Greatwood, whether it's helping with the Abyss Watchers or any different types of boss, was absolutely fun. Especially going to Aldridge, the Pontiff, all that stuff. My only thing I'm gonna say is that let's talk about a little bit of Souls etiquette. If somebody summons you, or sorry, you summon somebody, you just give them a little hi, okay? Give them a wave, give them a hello. When you defeat the boss, do something. Do some sort of email, whether it's a wave, whether it's a fist pumping, something, okay? Do not be that player that just summons, runs right into the boss fight, defeat the boss, and you go about your way. Okay, at least give him some type of freaking hello or things like that. But overall, this was the second best Covenant and the second most fun I have. And now we're going to discuss the Blades of the Dark Moon. Yes! Hit the head! He died! Oh my gosh, he died! My favorite Covenant and my favorite one to grind for. I know this is gonna probably be a hot take and people are gonna think I'm capping, but I promise you it's not. Was the Blade of the Dark Moon Covenant. Now here is a particular reason. First of all, the blue in this game just looks beautiful. I think it looks like an amazing color. Not only that, farming the 2 Silver Knights in Anor Londo was brutal. It was brutal. The drop rate is atrocious. Not only that, I don't know how many people know this, but, and it only works for the Blade of the Dark Moon, not Blue Sentinels. If you are a member of the Blade of the Dark Moon and you get summoned, and the person that you are trying to go after is a dark spirit that is also happens to be an Aldrich Faithful, if you take out that person, you not only get 1 proof of Concord, you get 2. You can get 2 of them. In one particular session, I managed to get 5 proof of Concords in one session. 5. That right there just goes to show that it is way more fun and you can get it faster by just doing it the online way. Now, another thing that I always made sure that I did was that I made sure that I was in the recommended level for each time I entered a new level. I would have a guide up, and anytime I would enter a new area of the game, I would stay within that level cap. Even though if I had plenty of souls and I could have went beyond the level cap, I didn't want to go past that because I knew that once you get out of that 120 range, that's it. Online like plummets. And obviously with Dark Souls being 10 years old, the online player base is not that big. So by staying within each level's recommended level cap, you can be summoned as a Blade of the Dark Moon. And I promise you, it's way more fun and it's most likely faster than sitting here hours and hours and hours and hours on end just farming the 2 Silver Knights in Anor Londo. But let's go look at some of the highlights as me as a Blade of the Dark Moon. The hardest achievement for me was the rings achievement because of the fact that there's 107 rings in the base game that you need to collect in order to get it. And it's a little bit of a glitch achievement, which I'll get into in a little bit. All 107 rings between 2 different playthroughs. You need to do your first playthrough, New Game Plus 1, and New Game Plus 2. Don't worry, DLC is not included. But the bulk of the work in 100% playthroughs are going to be done in the very first playthrough. And then as each other playthrough you go through, it gets less and less work. Basically, by the time you hit New Game Plus 2, you're basically speedrunning the game to basically do cleanups of the trophies. But at the end, there is a possibility of a glitch because I collected every single ring and I was going crazy because I was like, what ring did I miss? And I thought I was going to have to like go back through my list and go through all the spots again. But thankfully, I have one viewer who managed to help me clean up this glitch. And this was that moment. Oh, Ivy's found something. What happened, Ivy? Let me know. I heard the oh. I see it. Let's see. What are you gonna tell me? Move in and out of your storage box until the achievement happens. In and out of my storage box. Once, then take them all later. Ah, okay. So the storage box is different. Okay. This is insane, man. Yes! We got it! Oh my gosh, yes! We did it! The Dark Soul. I didn't even get a chance to tell you guys to say I was here. Alright, just say it now, everybody, that you were here. Just say that you were here. 100%ing all of the Dark Souls games has been an absolute blast of a time. I've had so much fun, and I learned so much more about these games, even though I played some of these games multiple times. Whether it's lore-wise, new different ways to play, and for the love of some multiplayer mechanics. I've had my mind change again, whether it comes to PvPing, PvE, and helping other players. It has definitely changed my mind. And yes, that even includes Dark Souls 2. It's still the weakest in the series for me, but I will admit my mind has been changed about it. If you guys have made it to the end of this video, I want to thank you so much for watching this through with me. I've had an absolute amazing time curating this video for you, and I hope you guys truly enjoy it. And I want to give a special shout out to my live stream viewers that have watched me go through the nooks and the crannies and the farmings and all of the nitty-gritty stuff from the beginning to the end. You guys are real troopers, and I am so blessed to have you guys support. If you guys haven't already, please make sure you like this video, comment down below, let me know what you think of the video, let me know anything. I don't care. Put something down in the comments. Make sure you guys also subscribe to the channel, because there will be more types of these videos coming out soon, because we still have more From Software games to 100% and to the platinum. And as always, stay happy and stay healthy, my friends.